And another season of the NBA on ESPN is underway.
Let's go!
Curry for the record.
We have a liftoff.
Leonard can
Good evening from Milwaukee, coming to you live from Fiserv Forum, the home of the defending NBA champs, the Milwaukee Bucks. And here's the thing, it's freezing outside, and in my script it says that I'm supposed to say it's warm and cozy inside, but I'm also freezing cold inside. For Hoop Streams, Nets versus Bucks, Giannis versus Kyrie in this Eastern Conference showdown on Saturday. Prime time. We'll get you set for the next 30 minutes live on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and the ESPN app as the Nets lick to get right back on track. Williamson and Brian Windhorst. Wendy, are you cold? Because I'm just a little free. I'm a little cold, but I'm warm-blooded. So.
I'm fine, but
okay.
There's going to be like 18,000 people in here in a few minutes. I think it'll get better when you're dead.
It might heat up just a little bit. Big matchup tonight, and I want to start. I know we're in Milwaukee, but I want to start in Brooklyn, right? Because New York is looking to possibly lift that vaccine mandate. Obviously, that would mean Kyrie could play again. What does that look like? What is the latest right now?
Well, this is obviously great news for Mayor Adams has talked a little bit about changing the vaccine mandate. And the reason this is important for the Nets is after tonight's game, they've only got 9 road games left. That's 9 Kyrie games. And one of those is in Toronto. He is not going to be allowed to play under the current rules. Now, it doesn't look like this is something that's going to happen in the next week or so. This could be well into March. But as the Nets are struggling to find ways to get everybody on the court, they do think that by the end of the regular season, there's a good chance that Kyrie will be cleared to play, assuming there's no COVID spike in New York.
Okay, so thinking of everybody returning to the court, right? Ben Simmons, KD, what is the timetable that we're looking at for that?
So good news and bad news. KD worked out today with the Nets. He has now gone through 2 full team workouts. He gets one more in. I think he's going to be able to return with no setback. I think you will see KD within the next 4, 5, 6 days. It is very close to happening. Ben Simmons, not as good.
Okay.
He has had some back soreness pop up in his ramp up. He has not joined any full team activities yet. And I am told that he is now being considered week to week.
Okay.
So, of course, Christine, what everybody wants to know is, what does that mean for the March 10th game going at Philly?
Exactly.
And I don't know. If you'd have asked me 2 days ago, I would have said I thought it looked like he could play. Now, I think there's more uncertainty.
That game is creeping up on us. I got a little distracted by Ben Simmons' chain and that. He was going through security. How did he get through security with that chain? That's the question that I
went through that same security, and I had to remove all my metal. That's all I'm going to say.
Not him. Okay, so we'll talk more about that with Nick Friedell, who will be joining us very soon. But before we get to that, the first half of the NBA season gave us a lot of posters, broken ankles, all of the good stuff. Let's take a quick look back.
He's back! Play 3. Yes, sir! It's just purity.
I did not know I was going to dunk on somebody first game back. That's something.
When you're in that zone, the basket seems as big as this arena. That's a hell of a feeling.
Absolutely unguardable.
Trae Young, ladies and gentlemen.
Rush throws down.
LA like a Laker, I'm in Memphis like a Grizzly. Driving to the bucket every night, I'm getting busy.
Wow! This place just erupted.
Like a point guard, the way I'm conditioned in the system, I'm on a mission.
You've been baptized, brother. Get a shot up. This is for the win.
DeMar DeRozan delivers!
Putting points up every night, the people come to see you. They want the star player, but you're the star hater. I took it easy, that was just me doing y'all a favor.
Stephen Curry stands alone as the most dominant, distant shooter the game has ever seen.
44 24,152 points. LeBron James passing the great Kareem Abdul-Jabbar.
Anytime I've been linked to some of the greats, I've always just been in awe.
Step up to the gate, go ahead, step up to the gate. Guaranteed to make you fall like it's September 28th. Do the Iverson crossover, you might just get tossed over.
Oh my goodness!
Crank goes down. Durant is going to highlight. Out to Reeves. Three-pointer. Bang! This is outstanding.
For the win! Yes,
All right, you're watching Hoop Streams live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app as Chris Middleton and the Bucks get ready to take on the Nets. That game is in about 25 minutes. If you're watching on the ESPN app, you can go on and authenticate and watch that game there. All right, so we watched the highlights from the first half, and we want to talk about the second half, because as we go into the second half, we have to keep an eye out for some second half turnarounds as we get closer to the end of the regular season. So last season, it was the Hawks that came out of the All-Star break on fire. Here's a look at the last 10 seasons. 5 teams have had huge turnarounds, winning under 45% in the first half and then going to 65% over in the second half. So as we head into the second half, we have some things that we have to pay attention to right across the league. And let's start with one that hits close to home for this Nets team. James Harden now getting comfy with Joel Embiid. And it's so weird to say that, right? Harden and Philly. Last night we finally got to see the two on the court together, and Harden did his thing, 27 points, 8 rebounds, 12 assists. Afterward, he said he was extremely happy. He said, and I will be happy when the 76ers, like you said, finally take on the Nets on March 10th. So when we get a little taste of Philly, do we feel like this duo is going to actually be able to make a push in a playoff run?
Christine, boy, did they look good last night. And you know, this Wolves team that they pounded, they were hot. They had just beaten the Grizzlies the night before.
Right.
And Joel, as he likes to do, threw a couple of missiles at Ben Simmons when he said, boy, I've never had passes like this thrown to me before. I've never been this open before. It sounded like he was praising James Harden, but he was kind of giving a dig to his old teammate who's going to be sitting on the bench behind us tonight. Now, I will say this. One of the things that impressed me about that game, all the space that Therese Maxey had, 28 points in that game. I know everybody's excited about Harden, and obviously how he can free up, Embiid. But the space that the rest of the 76ers had was great in that game. So this is definitely going to be something that is going to dominate the second half of the season watching this team.
But do you think that this team can actually win a title? That's the one thing that James Harden said.
Yes, I do. But I do think that the team that plays in this building right here is my favorite to win the East.
You mentioned how good they looked. Harden has had at least 25 points and 12 assists in each of the last 3 debuts with teams. That includes the Sixers, the Nets,
Those are
and
piling
the Rockets.
up. Those debuts are piling up.
Exactly. It's like, hey, it might not be all that we think. Okay, so let's go out west to the Warriors. The squad looks to be a favorite now that Clay is returning. Obviously, it's very dependent on whether or not Draymond returns. They're second in the West, just 1.5 games ahead of Memphis, and now would really be the time that they need to start making a run for a 4th title. Can you see this team coming out of the West?
For sure, because Clay has been better than I thought it would be. Curry at times this year has looked like an MVP. And as you mentioned, to me, it's all about Draymond. Now, he said last week he was targeting mid to late March in return from his back injury. If that does turn out to be the case, and they can get some momentum, I think the Western Conference is a lot easier run than they had when they won their 3 titles once in their 5 straight finals. I think this is going to be a less strenuous path. So I do like the Warriors' chances, but I still think the Suns, especially if they retain home court, will be the team to beat out there.
I mean, Draymond before the All-Star break said 2 to 4 weeks, and after All-Star said 2 to 4 weeks. So it's kind of moving back a little bit.
I agree with you.
Just a little
and
bit.
he is absolutely not letting anything, he's not giving anything away.
Exactly. Okay, so you mentioned that they might have a little easier of the run. Depending on where they fall at the end of the season, they could get the T-Wolves, the Clippers, or the Lakers, which would be better for them, and not the Nuggets, or if they end up playing the Mavs. So which team do you feel like can actually give them a run for their money in the postseason?
You don't want to play LeBron James and a healthy Anthony Davis.
That's true.
That's a team you don't want. And I got to be honest with you, the Lakers situation is kind of bleak short term here. They have the 3rd hardest schedule left. Anthony Davis is probably out until the end of March if all things go well. And Russell Westbrook is basically a shell of himself. He's not even being that aggressive these last few games. He's sort of taking it back. I just don't know how the Lakers, who lost the tiebreaker to the Clippers last night of the season, they're out of position on the tiebreaker to the Wolves. Their schedule is so hard. I think it's going to be very hard for them to even get a home play-in game. But if AD and LeBron are there, you give them a puncher's chance.
Yeah. Okay, so I want to ask about LeBron's mindset because obviously going into the season, he was talking all that trash, talking about how old they were. Wait till we get on the court. They get on the court, they can't even communicate. What do you think his mindset is at this point in the season?
He's taken and wishes you would never remember anything he just said.
Of course.
Because he apologized to the Lakers fans. He didn't think this was going to go this way.
Right.
But I will go to a mentality LeBron has had for a decade now. And that is any team with him has a chance in the playoffs. And there is a good team inside this Lakers roster.
Yeah.
You just need like smoke and mirrors and magnifying glasses to find it. Do I think they could win 3 series? No. But don't give up on the Lakers. It would be a mistake to think that they are done. But I'm certainly not betting on them doing anything significant.
A lot of people are saying that this team might be better off without Anthony Davis. What do you say to that?
You're asking that question to set me up, but I don't feel like you even believe that asking the question.
No, I don't. But.
The Lakers have 2 of the top 15 players in the league. They have raised the banner with those 2 players. Before LeBron and AD got there, they were missed the playoffs for 6 straight years. They were in the wilderness. If you want to go back to the wilderness, do something like trade Anthony Davis. So I don't think that's viable. But the fact that they're asking the question is an indication of just how difficult their future is trying to improve.
All right, well, we'll definitely see what happens there. But let's set our sights back on this matchup right now. We got the Nets and the Bucks, and you're watching Hoop Streams live on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and the ESPN app. That game is now about 20 minutes away. Kyrie Irving in the building, of course, like we said at the beginning of the show. Kyrie can't play in New York, but we're in Milwaukee. He can get some buckets in, and it's time now to talk a little bit more about this matchup with our guys, Jamal, Collier, and Nick Friedell.
Oh, we got 3. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Put this in your back pocket.
Check. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2.
Tested 1, 2, 3.
The long wait has ended after a half century. The Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again.
The hunter versus the hunted. You've been the hunter your entire career, and now all of a sudden you're the champ, and people are looking at you like you have a target on your back. What's that transition been like?
Yeah, I try not to think about the past. Try to be in the moment as much as possible. Keeps me humble. Obviously, I realize that a lot of people are coming after us. You know, when they come to Milwaukee, they're excited to play against us. They're excited to beat us. You know, so I understand that. But at the end of the day, I'm trying to get better. I want to win another championship.
And the slam from Antetokounmpo.
I have things that I set and steps in my mind, and we have goals that we set as a team, and we're not even close. So we're still chasing. There's a lot of teams that stand in the way, for us to achieve our goal. But at the end of the day, hopefully we can be the team that's playing at the end.
Is there any sort of secret sauce that comes with being the team that just sort of flies under the radar a little bit, even as the champs?
Nobody cares about us, So we play in Milwaukee, small market team. Not a lot of attention. We just go out there, do our job, and we're all about winning. We're all about taking care of our families. We're all about enjoying the game, and wherever it takes us.
Antetokounmpo! Wow, what a play by Giannis.
If this is the team, the people who are available and out on the court right now that you're marching into the playoffs with, do you think that group can win it all?
Yeah. Definitely believe in our group. I went down with safety protocol. Chris, Drew, Bobby went down. Guys got injured. The pads just went down. Brooke has been all year out. We haven't played a lot together as a team. 6 teams every year that have a chance. You just want to be among those 6 teams, and at the end you can hopefully play good basketball, find your chemistry as a team, and you win some games, and you're able to go to the NBA Finals.
All right, it's time to go on the beat with our reporters. We got Jamal Collier, Friedell joining us, and we're going to talk about this matchup, obviously. I'm going to start with you, Jamal. For Giannis and this Bucks team, without Brook Lopez, without Pat Connaughton, without George Hill, do you think that Giannis has enough firepower to make another title run?
I definitely think so. The Bucks are certainly hoping they don't have to go without all those guys.
Right.
George Hill, about a week he'll be out, and they're hoping to reevaluate him. They're hoping to get Pat Connaughton somewhere in mid-March. And they're still holding out hope that Brook Lopez is going to play. But Giannis has been excellent all season. He's been playing the 5, been playmaking a little bit. He's really just having a spectacular season. And when they got him, Chris Middleton, and Drew Holiday on the floor, it's still been really, really good. So I do think this team has enough, even with the injuries they've had to endure.
So yesterday, I just want to tell you, yesterday I was talking to a security guard outside, and I asked him if he thought that they were going to make a championship run this year, and he said that he thought last season was a fluke, and he doesn't think it's going to happen this year. So I feel like they definitely need those guys if they want to make a championship game or a championship run. Nick, I want to ask you, because Goran Dragic was just acquired this past week, right? He's making his Nets debut tonight. He has a relationship with Steve Nash. How do you feel like that relationship is going to impact him as a Nets player?
It's the reason he's here. Dragic has said many times the last few days, I came here because I feel comfortable with Steve. I wanted to play with Kyrie. He knows he's going to get more run in the short term because there's still uncertainty about the vax mandate. But Dragic has played in the biggest games. He knows how to win, and he knows this system because a lot of the same offensive look came straight from when he was a young player playing with Nash in Phoenix.
Let's go back to this Bucks team, because Giannis Antetokounmpo has been absolutely balling. But when you talk about the MVP conversation, it's all Joel Embiid, right? Do you feel like we haven't been paying attention enough to what Giannis has been doing on the court?
Well, I think just when he keeps doing it, right? You do it every year, you get used to it. You sort of don't appreciate the brilliance. But, the dominance that he's had, I mean, he just, at nights when he seems like he's aggressive and going to the basket and taking over games, it's really not, anything that anybody can do in the league with him. And I do think, we've gotten a little bit of maybe fatigued of him being in the MVP conversation, now for the past 5 years. But I do really think that you should pay attention to this guy. The Bucks make a run here in the second half and end up one of those top seeds. Giannis was for sure should be at the top of the MVP conversation.
So for the entire world, I was going to say for this Nets team, for the entire world, everybody is anticipating the return of KD and, of course, Ben Simmons to the basketball court. When it comes to the locker room, what does that anticipation feel like?
They all feel like when Kevin comes back and Simmons is ready to roll defensively, they can win a title.
Right.
And the best part, if you're a Nets fan, is they feel like if they finally get whole and Kyrie is able to play in the home games, if the vax mandate gets pulled back, that they've been up and down so often this season that they're used to it. So once that starts and they can have everybody for those last 15 games or so potentially on the floor and healthy, they think it's only a matter of time before they click and really start rolling.
It'll be a lot of fun to watch. Thanks, guys. Good luck for this game. Excited about it. This game is a big one. We talked to Bobby Portis as we enter into this game to talk about his Bucks squad.
Don't settle, big fella. Don't settle, big fella. Let's go, let's go. Come on, get one, get one. Get one. Let's go! Squeeze, y'all. Give me some help, y'all. Give me some help, y'all.
Booker against Holiday. Inside, blocked from behind. Holiday behind the back. Middleton back to Holiday. Inside, Portis for the slam. Come on!
All right, we now welcome in Bucks forward Bobby Portis to the show. Thank you for joining us on Hoop Streams today.
Appreciate y'all for having me.
Okay, so I want to start somewhere. I know that you have the underdog mentality, right? Typically, when people talk about the East, right, you guys are the defending champions, but they talk about the new look Nets. They talk about Philly, Embiid, Harden. They talk about the Bulls, but you guys are the defending champs. So what do you say about that? Does that mean that you guys are the underdog in this situation?
I mean, kind of, sort of, man. Our team plays in Milwaukee, so nobody really cares about Milwaukee like that. It's always the bigger cities, the LA, the New York, the Chicago, that get, just the most attention. But with us, man, we just do call the guys, come in every day, work as hard as we can. trust our work, believe in each other, just play for the name on the front of the jersey, man. I think Giannis and Chris, with them being here as long as they have, I think they have, built up a great organization and a great culture here.
That was very nicely said. You have the two-time MVP. You have 2 All-Stars. There's a banner up there. You got a ring at home. I don't think you guys are underdogs. I'm going to be honest with you. So she introduced as a forward, but with Brooke Lopez being out this year, you've had to play a lot of big man. How have you handled dealing with that? Because I know guys playing center, it really wears on you.
Kind of, sort of, but with me, last year was like an upcoming year for me, especially coming here, being able to be the backup big for this team. We only had 3 bigs last year, me, Giannis and Brooks, so being able to be the backup 5 essentially last year has helped me, start in this role this year. Coming in, just doing all the dirty work, bringing energy to the game, spacing the floor for our 3 All-Stars, and trying to be a dog on the court.
A dog on the court, and you're very popular in Milwaukee. So if you Google, why is Bobby Portis, the first thing that comes up is so popular, right? So Milwaukee obviously embraces you. What do you say about that? This city loves you.
Man, it's crazy, man, because, it hasn't always been like that in my career. Coming into the league, not really knowing, it's a marathon that I'm going to run this league. Moving around with different teams, been traded, teams turning down team offers and things like that. So finally finding a home that, the fans, really love how I play and, have a teammate that just let me just be myself. I haven't really had that, ever in my career, but coming here in my 6th season last year helped bring all that out.
Yeah, as you've had the opportunity here, I almost think you could give like a seminar to other players about who get frustrated early in their careers. Because I don't know what other options you had here, but like the league wasn't beating down the door to get you. What does this mean for you to have rejuvenated your career? Like, do you sit there and consider what kind of experience this has been?
Man, just coming into the league, I think all guys are like stars on their college teams, man. And coming into the league, you have to find your niche and find your role again. I kind of struggled with that early on because I was just so used to getting the ball in my spots, getting the ball for me, plays for me, and things like that. But coming to the Bulls, I had to sit behind Pau Gasol, Joakim Noah, Taj Gibson. Those guys really groomed me to be a good pro. Told me that, just to work as hard as I can and always just stay ready. That's the biggest thing in this league, stay ready. You never know when your number's going to get called. You never know, injuries, trade, things happen, and coach throws you out there. So stay ready so you don't have to get ready.
Let's talk about the fact that you wanted to be in the 3-point contest for All-Star. You made a push for it. Now, Cat obviously won. He beat Young. He beat Luke Kennard. Do you feel like you would have beaten Cat in that 3? Would you have taken home the 3-point contest?
I'm always going to pick myself no matter what. I'm a confident person, confident guy. I'm always going to say myself. Cat shot the heck out of it, man, in the tournament. I mean, in that 3-point contest.
Yeah.
He did his thing, so shout out to Cat, though, for sure.
All right, let's talk about a game that you guys already played. You played the Wizards, right? Giannis goes up. Montrezl Harrell fouls him. Now, the first thing that we see is you and his face. What exactly did you say to him in that moment?
Man, to be honest, I don't even remember what I said. I just always there for my teammates, no matter what. I don't want us having that image or that mantra of us just being a soft team. So you always got to stand up for your teammates, especially in moments like that. My team was trying to make a run, trying to close out a game, early on in February.
Okay. One more thing that I want to show you is the fact that you drilled a 3-pointer and then you did the shimmy. I don't want to even call it the shimmy. What would you call that?
I don't even know. I just love playing the game of basketball, going out there playing with swag, playing with confidence, being myself. And, sometimes things come out that I didn't even know what I was going to do. That was one of those things.
I love that. Well, good luck. Hopefully we see some more of that tonight.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Thanks.
We want him to officially welcome you to our ABC exclusive telecast. Looks like we'll have a great ball game.
Their pasts have proven that missing pieces can be found to solve the puzzle of a championship team.
The Milwaukee Bucks have moved from being, I think, a good team to the stature of being a great team.
The Big O joined forces with Alcindor, and the Bucks won the title.
It's over! The Milwaukee Bucks are champions of the world!
Dr. J came to the Nets, and they conquered the ABA twice. Now, in Milwaukee, the Greek Freak follows in footsteps.
I wish my number is so up there, to be next to Kyrie, Oscar Robinson.
After a half century, the Milwaukee Bucks are NBA champions once again.
I'm a champion. My city's a champion.
And in Brooklyn, after making a series of moves, the Nets hope they've found the pieces they need to take the next step.
I think it's going to be scary.
It's going to be exciting to see how these pieces fit.
What a block from Giannis. This building is shaking. What can this guy do?
Nets, Bucks is now.
All right, guys, it's time for the main attraction. You already know what it is. It's Nets versus the Bucks, and I want to start on the Nets side because Seth Curry told everyone that Ben Simmons does not owe anybody an apology after leaving Philly. If you agree with that.
What is Seth supposed to say? His teammate that he is still with is supposed to say? I think it's fair to say that Ben changed the entire trajectory of the 76ers season, and Seth had to be traded mid-season away from his father-in-law and his son, or his child, I don't remember if it's a son or a daughter, away from his grandfather. I'm not sure, sir, that Seth is in the greatest terms. However, he still has to compete with them, and so therefore, I'll give him a pass.
Listen, that's what I was going to say. I was like, that's his father-in-law. That if he's saying that, he must really, really believe that. You know, you can't just say anything about your father-in-law. Let's go on to this, continue on this Nets team, talk about Goran Dragic. He's joining the New York Nets. Obviously has a relationship with Steve Nash. How do you feel like the outlook? How does that relationship impact this?
Well, so obviously, he would have probably been playing in this game, but for the Bucks, if it was not for Steve Nash. He went down to Florida and recruited him over the All-Star break. That's why he's signing and making his Nets debut. And frankly, the Nets have been shallow at the guard position for most of this year because Kyrie Irving, who is right over my shoulder right now, hasn't been able to play in home games, and because Joe Harris has been out for most of the year with an ankle injury. They have been playing a two-way guard. David Duke. He started, last time these two teams played, David Duke started because the game was in Brooklyn. So having an experienced player like Dragic to come play minutes for you, even if when they're at full scale they're not going to use him that much, is huge for the Nets. Considering that the last month that they've had, losers of 13 out of 15 games, that was as big as a win as they could have expected.
You mentioned them being full scale. Being full scale would be having their new big three, right? KD, Kyrie, and now Ben Simmons. If they are in fact healthy, what do you think this last part of the season looks like for them?
I mean, I think that anything with Kevin Durant is possible. He is one of the best players to ever play in the NBA. I will not say that he can't carry this team to anything. But to ask a team to incorporate this kind of change on the fly, and we don't even know when Simmons is going to play. We don't know when or if Kyrie's going to get full. Considering the competition in the East, it's a giant ask. I am going to watch and be excited to see them try, but it's a giant ask.
Obviously, they're the 8th seed right now. Now let's go to the Bucks side. They're the 4th seed, but they have the toughest remaining schedule. How do you feel like this last part of the season will play out for them?
So the Bucks had a meeting when they're on the West Coast before the All-Star game with their star players and head coach Mike Budenholzer. And he said, look guys, you guys got to turn it up a little bit. And they've kind of done it a little bit. They've had some games where they played good, some games where they played poorly. They lost here last week in the last game before the break to Philly. I believe Giannis, when he raises his game, as he did, we saw in the fourth quarter of the All-Star game last week, that they are going to be the toughest to beat 4 out of 7. But I have to admit, I understand why there's some worry about them.
Okay, so I was going to ask about Giannis being in the MVP conversation, but we have got our guy Joe here, and he's brought some concessions. We got Clements Brats, Sargento cheese curds, and the Cluckery's famous chicken tenders and tater tots. By the way, the Bucks are the only NBA team to own a chicken tender restaurant that is also a kitchen in Deer District. So you can actually get these chicken tenders outside of the stadium.
I'm looking forward to you eating all of this for dinner. I'm going to sit here and watch you do that.
You're not going to try any of this?
Curd, I think the cheese curds. You're going to try the cheese curds?
I'm all about cheese curd. We're in Milwaukee.
You have to have a cheese curd.
Okay.
We didn't dip it, but it's pretty good.
Cheese curds are fire. Okay. Listen, anytime you fry trees, it's bomb. And that's pretty good. All right, Wendy, as we close the show.
Kyrie, you want a cheese curd?
Who do you think is going to win this matchup tonight?
I am looking at who is active for the Nets, and I am picking the Bucks. And I don't think it's that hot of a take, quite frankly. If the Nets win, it'll be a surprise.
Okay, I'm the person that always likes to go for the opposite team and the person that's making the more logical choice.
I'm so sorry that you
So
have
I'll
taken
just pick the Nets in this matchup.
You could look good.
These cheese are delicious. Thanks so much for watching Hoop Streams. If you're watching on the app, Authenticate, watch the game on ABC right now. We'll see you guys later.